Class example 3.2.5. When placed in an environment with the right temperature, moisture, and food supply, bacteria will grow at an exponential rate. So an exponential rate, something we'll look a little bit further into when we get into Math 30, but exponential rate means that it increases and it increases at a doubling or tripling or an alarmingly fast rate. That as soon as you get to a certain point, it becomes quite a steep graph and it shoots up quite quickly. So this is an exponential rate. Now, which graph here, A, B, or C, is going to represent bacteria growth if the bacteria's food supply is limited? Okay. So let's just talk about the number of bacteria as the starting point. This is a low number of bacteria. It's got to be the right temperature. It doesn't say that that's going to be it. It didn't say that anything about moisture, but it did say something about food supply. Now, we're limiting the food supply. We're not going to eliminate the food supply, but we are limiting it. So in this first graph, it looks like we have a small amount of bacteria to begin with, and then it's just going to increase. In graph B, we have a very high amount of bacteria to begin with. Then it looks like the number of bacteria is going to decrease to very, very little, and then it's going to increase back up to it. I'm not quite sure about that one. And graph C says, okay, we've got a decent amount of bacteria, and if we're limiting the food supplies, maybe there's no growth, and then all of a sudden there's quite a bit of constant growth, a quite fast growth, and then it just stops. And then it just decreases. So I'm not quite sure about graph B and graph C. For me, when I think about graph A, I can see that I'm only limiting the food supply. I'm not eliminating it. So according to exponential growth, if all conditions were favorable, it would be shooting up at an exponential rate, which is really, really, really fast. So I think if we limit the food supply, that, yeah, you're still going to have some bacteria growth. That's just the way that it goes, but it might not be as constant, or it might not be as quickly as if there was a lot of food supply. So graph A would show that limited food supply.